I could tell you my 300-pound life story now. So I have this digital scale.
Yeah, I can't hear anything.
And I entered
we had that conversation.
No, we don't start with your 300-pound life story. We
He
have
wanted
to do
to
an
hear it.
intro.
Start to do whatever.
Oh, we can start with this. I like this. It's a good start.
It's not good. It's kind of just depressing.
Well, let's hear.
Go ahead.
So I got this digital scale, and the digital scale has my height and my weight. It tracks my weight and everything. So the second I installed it, I weighed myself this morning and then immediately said I was morbidly obese. So
Morbidly?
I mean, are you
That's
surprised?
such insult to injury.
I was like, hey, come on. I'm trying to be positive about the situation, man. I don't need you to insult
if
me.
somebody's obese, do you really need to add morbidly to
Morbidly.
You just say fat fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
was like a
It's
little,
so
there was like a
insulting.
little scale, and I was in the red.
Damn.
They put me in the red side.
Hey, well, you know what? You're working with Francesco now. We've got high hopes for you.
I mean,
I think him working with Hayden is what made him morbidly obese.
Hey, you know what you should have done right after you took your weight? Should have taken your blood pressure too.
I
So
don't want to feel worse. I don't want to feel worse about what's going on.
you can become clinically depressed.
Yeah, is there an app for measuring depression?
This is why he wears all black. He thinks it
It's
makes
very
him look more
slimming.
slender, but I think you need a bigger size shirt if you want to look slimmer.
Hey, man, this is a 2XL.
And that's what this
trying to hide
podcast is about. Roasting Marcus on his health markers.
That's fair. I mean,
We'll roast a little bit of
they're out in the
everyone. Don't
open.
worry, we'll get there.
All right. Hello, friends, and welcome to the first episode ever of Hybrid Unlimited. We're super excited about this. This has been something that we've been wanting to do for quite a while, and we finally decided to go for it and do it without much experience, but a lot of love and passion. So we hope that that's enough to make this podcast successful.
And hatred.
Huh?
And hatred.
And hatred. I
Love,
mean, if
passion and hatred.
passion and hate.
Yeah.
Those are the two ingredients for success, right?
Hey,
Yeah.
amen.
Amen.
I don't know. We'll go circle back to that.
So unlimited because we want to talk about different topics. We want to talk about science, about fitness, about current events, and we just want to have good conversations amongst each other and with guests, with people that come in through hybrid to Miami to vacation. You can bring them in here and just have a good chat.
Yeah, so this podcast, since it's the first one, will be a little different than future podcasts in that we're going to sort of introduce who we all are, talk a little bit about hybrid for people who don't know who we are and what we do. And, if we have time, we might get into a little bit of powerlifting gossip, a little bit of Florida man activities, all that good stuff. So,
Right. So before we get started, we'll give you guys a rundown on what our current hybrid projects are. This is something that we're planning on doing every episode to kind of keep you guys in the loop about what we're doing and what we're working on. So we have our hybrid showdown coming up February 2nd here in Miami. Alex is the mastermind behind this project, and he kind of takes the reins as far as planning everything, making sure that everything gets done and that the meet runs smoothly. Last year's showdown was a total success, but we totally hope that this year is even better.
bigger and better every year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it sold out yet?
I think there's like 2 spots left for the invite day, but compared to last year, it was a one-day event, only 45 full power lifters. Now it's 2 days, 60 full power lifters each day. So that's like, if my math is correct,
Carry the
almost
one.
3 times the amount of people as last year. Brains, is that correct? Just say yes. So that's
Almost 3 times as many as 45 people.
60 over 2 days, bruh. 120.
120.
Come on, pay attention, Kaplan. That's the resident
2.9.
brains here, apparently. So yeah, this,
Who are
this year should
who
be
are
good.
some big names that are coming to lift besides Steffi Cohen, who is lifting at
Kevin
that
O.
meet?
Marcus Leone, the
Thank you.
fat fuck.
Ian Daniel.
Daniel, Kevin Oak is coming. Jamal Browner's coming. We have an Australian, Jen Smith, who
Jen
we
Smith,
competed
yeah.
with, coming
Who's that guy from the
overseas.
UK?
Oh, Tom Martin.
Tom
Tom Martin. Yeah, he just signed up. That's cool. Jeremy Avila just signed up.
Whoa. Jeremy's
Sorry.
coming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if
God.
I'm forgetting you. I know there's a lot of cool people. You guys are all very cool to us. Oh,
Did-
Tom
did-
Callis. Tom Callis
Oh, yeah.
signed
Tom
up.
Callis,
Jimbo
yeah.
Cooper, did he sign up from
Not
Australia?
yet. Not yet. But
He
a lot
said
of
he was
people
going to.
Yeah, cool. I'm
giving
excited.
away like $15K, I think, at least,
Yeah.
prize money.
Cool. I'm excited. Besides the showdown, so this year in 2020, we're planning 2 big meets. The second one is the Kratos. If you follow me, maybe you've heard me talk about it briefly or kind of post some teasers about it. This is going to be the biggest strength expo that the world has ever seen. We're bringing together Olympic weightlifting and powerlifting to one 45,000 square foot venue in the heart of Wynwood, Miami, the Design District. And I'm super pumped about that because I feel like the iron sports community truly needs that. We need an expo, something that's fun, that can unify the community as a whole, that can be fun for spectators, but most importantly, that can be an amazing experience for athletes to truly feel like the elite lifters that they are.
And I think what's cool about the event that we're going to throw is that while other expos and stuff, they include strength sports, it's not really the focal point. And I mean, you can get into the controversy of whether or not you want to include bodybuilding as a strength sport. But, bodybuilding is usually the main show. If you go to the Olympia or you go to the Arnold, it's bodybuilding, sometimes strongman a little bit at the Arnold. Mm-hmm. But what we really want to do is showcase pure strength as we see it. So we're starting with 2 very pure strength sports, powerlifting, both tested and untested, and Olympic weightlifting.
Mm-hmm.
You're making it available to everyone. Because, like in the Arnold, to compete in one of those bigger stages, you have to qualify.
Yeah,
So
this
everyone's
is
gonna be able to
open.
compete on this big
This is
stage.
open. We will have how many spots? 60 for untested and 60 for tested for prime time. That will send out invitations and just take it as a first come first served basis. Whoever signs up first gets the spot. We'll have a total of 570 lifters, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Brains correct.
That's a
3,
lot.
2, 1, 5 to carry the hate. Yes, correct. Roughly there.
570 is 570.
about 100 booths, DJ, the most professional stages you've ever seen, an athlete's lounge area, food, drinks, and just a good time.
The whole deal.
Whole deal. Yeah, we're there to have a good time, and that's it.
A silly goose time. That's
So-
it.
No, I changed it.
I
Shout out
know I've
Crystalia.
gotten some questions from people. Do you guys have a date?
For the Kratos?
Yeah.
June 28th. The weekend of
27th
June.
and 28th.
Yeah, 27th, 28th, that weekend.
days.
Yeah.
Hey,
So,
can we officially talk about our most recent competition acquisition too? I think that's pretty cool.
yeah. Whoa,
Oh,
you guys
shit.
are going to be the
Yeah.
first
Say
people
it
to
now?
find out.
It's
I
official.
guess it's official.
Bring it to life.
So Hybrid now has acquired rum, which for those of you who are from the younger generation is raw unity meat. And that used to be the sort of Super Bowl event in powerlifting before the U.S. Open and some of those other big international meets stepped in. And we're going to revive it. So we were able to get in contact with all of the original creators of rum. We're going to try to involve them in some way, not really sure how yet. But at some point, we will be bringing rum back and hopefully making that the biggest showcase for powerlifting.
That ran, I think, 8 or 9 years?
9 years.
consecutively?
I did the last
Yeah,
one.
me and Steffi did the
Okay,
I
last
was
Ron,
there
one.
with you
you were
guys.
there, yeah.
Yeah, that was where the infamous girl projectile vomited all over the front
Yeah.
judge.
Oh my
And then, like, you were waiting
Wow.
to deadlift. You
Yeah.
had to wait like 15 minutes
Wait,
to
like,
clean the
clean up.
shower.
Hit the judge.
She projected-
dude,
it was everywhere. You didn't see
That's
it?
epic.
It was just like a stream all
Didn't she
over.
end up doing like a talk show PR tour off of that too?
Dude, yeah, she got so
mad clout,
famous.
dude. She got like more
50
famous than you were at the time.
She got like 15,000 followers off of that.
Yeah.
Insane.
I mean, to be fair, that's pretty impressive. I've seen some vomits, but like they stop about a few,
Yeah.
2
Dude,
feet.
It went.
You got
The
5 feet of
force-
vomit. That's
the
epic.
force at which that left her body was astonishing.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. And you know what? She owned it, which
Yeah.
was, that
Yeah.
that's a kind of an embarrassing thing, I think, for most people.
She completed
But she
the lift
ran
and
with
everything.
it. She like reposted it a bunch of times. She
You
was
know what
all-
I always
it made it
say?
on Tosh.0.
I'd do anything for clout.
Do anything for clout. I do anything for clout.
Watch
Is
out
that
for
how the song
copyright
goes?
issues. I don't know. It sounds.
I've never
about
heard
right.
that song.
I usually get the beats wrong.
But the funny thing is that meet that was so huge was based in Port St. Lucie or Lucie, however you say it, which is
Lucie.
like middle of
No,
nowhere.
nobody says-
Like,
nobody
there's,
says
there's not
Lucie.
even a close airport to that. Like the lifters who attended it for 8-9 years in a row would have to fly into either Orlando or Miami and drive about an hour and a half to get there.
That's
so
such a
I mean-
random location.
Yeah.
So
very
random.
random.
Just to give you guys an idea, I mean, we saw some of the best competitions like amongst lifters in that meet.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's where-
Jeremy
isn't that where
Hamilton versus Dan Green.
Yeah.
and Kevin
Epic.
Oak and T. Cummings when T. Cummings was relevant.
The good
John Hack
era.
did it one year.
Yeah, John Hack did it one
Way
year.
back.
Yeah, I used to love watching those.
And we'll
feats.
have to review all the rules and regulations, but initially, a raw unity meet started so that tested powerlifters could compete with
All of the
untested.
feder- well,
all the
because-
federations.
them, but
because it
all
was
of
a
them.
unsanctioned event,
Right.
Even though
Right.
it had rules, regulations.
At the time, it was the only unsanctioned event where world records counted
right? Because they
because
had
of how strict the rules were.
and they
and-
had national level judges or above judging, and
Yeah, that was one of the things they were telling me is that you had to be at least a national level judge in your respective federation in order to be a judge at RUM, and then beyond that they had to approve you as well. So
Yeah.
Right.
So
it's a
anyway,
pretty rigorous
we'll
process.
ideally we'll be giving people more information about it and ways to get involved and all of that good stuff.
exciting.
What else? We got Black Friday coming up for hybrid apparel drop.
Ooh, that's an exciting
All
one.
you people been bugging us for these amazing designs that we do. We always warn you. Once they're gone, they're gone. Well, for one day only, they'll be back.
Which designs?
Should we tell them?
No.
Nah.
Let's keep them guessing.
Nah.
But they're four of your favorite designs. So the highest demand ones, the ones we've been asked or people have been asking for reprints for months.
Just
So,
once. Once they're
Just
gone.
once. One day,
this time
24
for real,
hours.
they're
midnight,
gone.
midnight to midnight.
Literally, even if they don't sell out, I'm just going to take them off the website and just throw them away. You don't get them. You don't deserve them. You didn't get them in the 24 hours. I warned you. Get them in this 24 hours. Not going in the trash. I don't need them.
That's right. Okay, so shop Black Friday at Hybrid Apparel, Hybrid Apparel store, the official sponsor of Hybrid Unlimited. My podcast, sponsored by me. Also, Ian Kaplan is sitting here on my right. We just finished writing a book together, and the book is called Back Under the Bar. We're finishing the last details, including the interior of the design of the book, publishing, and all the legalities that surround that. So we're very excited about it, and I think that we're gonna end up talking about it on the podcast at some point
Yeah.
to give you more
I
insight.
think we can anticipate it sometime next year.
Yeah, super excited about it. And finally, where are we going to be next? We're going to be in New York, Hayden and I at least, in December
Yeah.
for an event called Strong New York at Solace.
You'll
with-
be speaking to doctors about back pain, right?
Huh?
What are you going to be talking about at that event?
Yeah, I'll be talking about back pain with Jordan, likely. Jordan
Okay,
Shallow.
cool. And then we're going to do some stuff with Dawn, Men's Health.
Yep,
Going to do the whole New York circuit while we're there.
yeah.
Well, I'm going to be in Disney on Thanksgiving.
Hate Disney. Seriously hate Disney.
It's okay. It's cool.
Who likes Disney here
I mean, you have to
besides you?
like.
Ian, do you like
the
Disney?
idea of Disney
Nah.
at least.
Why?
The rides are pretty lame, to be honest.
It's not extreme enough for him. He needs sharks, planes,
He needs to ride.
jumping.
It's too many NARPs. Did I say that on a podcast?
Yeah. Okay. So before we go on, I wanted to take some time to do some personal intros, just so you have an idea of whose voice is who, because there's 6 people in this room, and likely these 6 people are going to be kind of the core of the majority of these podcasts. So, I mean, I hope that you know who's talking to you right now, but if you don't know, I'm Steffi Cohen. I'll be one of the hosts of the podcast. And that's it. That's me. You can look me up.
Google her.
Google.
Google her. You got a wiki page yet?
Huh?
You got a wiki page yet?
No,
Damn,
That's
man, yeah.
that's the next level of success. You got
Yeah,
a
I
wiki
agree.
page. You know you made it.
I agree. Yeah, go ahead to my
Well,
left, and then
I'll
we'll
take it.
go around. Okay.
I'm going to be your co-host. I'm Hayden Bowe. Hopefully you guys know me too. I'm a little less popular than Steffi, but I think I'm pretty cool. We're like Steffi said, we're going to be talking about everything from sports to science to what we're doing, gossip, all that good stuff. So get used to hearing my voice and Steffi's, and look me up. Look me up online if you don't know who I am.
Well, I'm the co-host. I'm the co-host to the co-host. If you don't know who I am, that's just crazy. As everyone knows, I'm full-time for Hybrid, strictly being Steffi's hype man. You know, the hype has kind of been on the back. Oh, I make the big bucks just saying, let's go. It's insane. That's all I do. Literally nothing else. I went to college for
Major than let's
hypomania, as a matter of fact. So if you don't know me, you'll hear me yelling in the background of our videos. You'll hear me yelling at these gentlemen in the room when they start getting a little too boring.
I think you just like to yell. That's what you're trying to tell
Or
everyone.
getting too sciencey. I'll make sure to excite things up a little bit, add some hype, add some this, add some that. All right, yeah, thanks. Yeah.
No, but seriously, Alex is our director of operations
I actually do real work, guys. I'm
slash
kidding.
general manager slash hybrid savior. He helps us out with pretty much everything and anything that we need, and has been kind of like our right hand man.
Pretty much anything that Hybrid does, Alex has a hand in it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
We
can thank him
appreciate you, brother.
for a lot of the good stuff that comes out of here.
yeah. Who's next?
All right, I'll introduce myself. My name's Marcus. I don't know if you guys see me in backgrounds of lifting videos, but I've kind of been with the hybrid crew for the last 3 years or so, trying to get strong. They were my original buddies in the powerlifting world, and we kind of spent the last 3 years getting strong together. So I don't officially work here, but I am the resident real estate broker. Some people call me the big business guy. As you heard earlier, it's because I'm a large man.
Who does
And-
business?
And you just do big business deals. You don't
I do big
small
business deals.
Come on,
I come
dude.
in, lift
Only
big
big-
weights, do big business deals, and I have a dog.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
Thank you for
No,
your
thank you
services
for your
you
time.
provided to us.
You're welcome.
And for
To
Tim.
everyone in this room except you, who I haven't worked with yet.
At some point, he'll find you a house too. Don't
All
worry.
right, sounds good.
Wait, his mom's a real estate agent.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to fight his mom, dude.
I'll fight your mom.
We'll make that happen.
I heard she's a very nice lady, but
Yeah.
I'll fight her for a deal.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, my name's Ian. Don't look me up because you probably won't find anything.
Yet, the
Yeah.
clout is building,
Yeah,
my friend.
The cloud is coming. When the book comes out, you'll find something. You'll find the book. But relatively new here, probably in the past 4 or 5 months. I do a lot of things with education and a lot of kind of different things here and there. We're kind of building out some different kind of parts of the business and
Giving it more structure.
yeah. I mean, you guys can speak to what I do here, but it's also kind of I might be considered the resident strongman of the group,
Hey, that's a good one.
as well as the doctor. You know, this is a house of learned doctors, right? I'm the second doctor I'll graduate in April to make this more of a house of learned doctors and such.
There you go. He's the resident brain.
Thank you, Dr. Kaplan.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Dr.
and that will be always addressed. I'm exactly not a doctor right now because I haven't graduated yet, so you can't call me doctor.
Now we're gonna do
I
it
can
anyway.
do whatever I
Can I
want.
call you Doc?
But
Hey, what about Dr. Deadlift?
Dude,
yeah, I don't
definitely
know what's
doesn't
going
have a
on with that. That's
doctorate.
definitely not legal.
What about Dr. Dre? At what point does it be? How famous do you have to be
You know
before
what?
it become legal?
I think he's got an honorary PhD.
Yeah.
Who?
I'm pretty sure he does.
Come on, Dr. Dre.
I'm pretty sure he does.
in what?
You got enough money?
I don't
you can
fucking
freaking
know.
bribe
When you
him.
get an honorary PhD, only the university that gives you the PhD calls you doctor.
It's
Question.
details,
That's the
details, my
University
friend.
of Life,
say-
brother. The University of the Streets.
I think he got his PhD from the streets.
Okay, look, dude, listen up. Who's gonna get in trouble if I call someone a doctor? Like if I say sub
Well, he
Dr.
just-
Cap.
No, if you refer to yourself as doctor,
What
you
about
don't
Looney
have
Tunes?
to.
Oh, okay, so we
What's up,
can call
Doc?
you.
Yeah,
so
you
we
could,
can call him
you
doctor.
can, you can call me whatever you want.
Exactly.
So
So
the
don't tell
question
us
is
what to do.
when I
Don't
do
tell
have
me who I can call and who I cannot call a doctor. Am I right?
when I do have
Amen, sister.
yeah. But the point was, when that day comes, I will
Ian,
be
it doesn't matter. You're
exclusively.
a doctor now to us in our hearts, okay? You're Ian 2, not Ian 1.
No, he's
Ian
Cap.
number 1.
Cap.
He's Cap.
Ian number 1. Drum roll, please. Introduce yourself.
The Rhino.
Yeah, well, that's what they call me. There'll probably have to be some sort of battle in the future as to who gets to rightfully hold that nickname.
I feel like it's the same as doctor. Can you call yourself Rhino?
Ooh.
Did
the
you
real
call
one?
yourself the
Well,
Rhino? You
no,
didn't
no.
give yourself
You-
that nickname.
No, yeah. You
I-
can't call yourself. He was given that nickname.
Right.
Yeah.
How'd you get
so-
the nickname?
Yeah, so I used to do some
Bro,
CrossFit.
speed up your speech.
Yeah, I was
man.
about to say, we got to get these stories, dude. We got, you know, come on. People are going to have to listen to this 10 times
I
speed
used to
hear
do
a story.
CrossFit, and I was training with some people and a guy named Rich Froning, and we were running, and I'm not the best at running, But apparently I looked real big, real sweaty at the time, pretty jacked. And
Jacked.
apparently
Shocked.
I appeared to be resembling a rhino at the time, according
I can
to
see
Rich.
that.
I can see that.
And yeah, it just kind of stuck from there.
Did you say that was Rich Piana?
No, no,
He
no.
looks like a rhino.
Yeah, he's dead.
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Respect.
Pour one out for him.
But I've been with Hybrid
8-hour
for
workout.
2 years, and
Longer than 2 years, bro.
maybe a little longer than 2
Yeah,
years. And write nutrition for one-on-one clients, and I write training programs for Hybrid WOD and Squat Protocol.
Very nice.
And I pick some things up and put them down in my spare time.
You know what that is?
Copyright infringement. No, wait, this song doesn't have copyright infringement, huh? That's why I thought
He's
everyone
also
plays
dead.
it.
R.I.P. Respect. All right, that's enough of
We
that.
could have just made
What's that
Caesar,
called?
like,
The
really
8-hour
cool.
workout
We
track
put it
by
in.
Rich
Yeah,
Piana?
we did an 8-hour arm
Dancing.
workout. That was the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Juji and Anton, didn't they just do that
Hey,
recently?
isn't
They
that
did
what
an
we
8-hour
played
arm
for
workout?
musical chairs?
That doesn't
Yeah.
seem Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot. That's one of my titles here, Resident Musical Chairs Champion. So if anybody wants to come and challenge me,
You also tetherball.
tetherball champion.
Wow.
think I
Obscure
hope-
child sports. You're the master.
If you want to take it down, sure. Yeah. But I'm really good at those things.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's the first time you've ever said that.
So, yeah, let's talk a little bit about, like Hayden said, we want to give you guys an idea of who we are, how we got here, how Hybrid started, and all that good stuff. So, let's talk about that. So, we started Hybrid, about 4 years ago?
Yep.
Yeah.
4 years?
Yeah,
Beginning of
4 years.
2016, right? So
Yeah.
it's coming up on 4 years.
Yeah, coming up on 4 years.
Yeah. 2016.
Right around the same time when I met Hayden.
We were doing powerlifting and Olympic weightlifting, and people kept at the same time, and people kept asking us how we're doing both. And it got to the point where people kept asking us, and we didn't have anything to refer them to. So eventually, we're like, "There's a need for this. Let's start a program." We started. We tried to get. Remember, we were talking, and we were like, "Let's see if we can get 10, 15 people to test this program out." We had the software built. We put in the program.
Well, we
and-
decided to go all in. At that time, there were different softwares that we could have used to input our training and sell it through that software. But
Yeah, but they wanted like 30% of
Yeah.
revenue that you made. So we're like, let's just put up the initial investment, make it ours, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we put it out on social media. We didn't even have big followings or anything at the time.
I think I had
but
like 3,000 followers.
Yeah.
Dude, he had way more
I
clout.
had more, yeah.
Yeah,
I,
I
remember when
thought-
he
I
started
thought-
dating him, like, damn, Steph, you're dating a celebrity.
Yeah.
I had like 10K followers or
Yo, I
something.
thought you were famous.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Hey, that was good. That was decent for back then. But and then we got 400 people apply to join the program, and we're like, oh, we should really dive into this. So since then, we just worked on building new programs. Every time somebody asks for, or enough people ask for a different program, we add it. We hire a coach who's experienced in that particular space, and the training side grew to what it is. We started nutrition. Got about 1,200 members on the nutrition side now. Opened a gym. Got the apparel line. We got it all. We're into events now. Supplements? Question mark.
Yeah. Just trying
So-
The blog.
Blog. We're writing. Yeah, we got our hands in everything. We're trying to be the one-stop shop for everything fitness.
Yeah, but let's talk a little bit more about like when we started.
When?
When
Yeah.
you guys started, I feel like the training
Like more
world
story,
was
more story.
much less congested than it is now.
Absolutely.
You know, you guys got in at a good time, and we were able to lay a foundation when there wasn't so much BS everywhere.
Yeah, it was like the beginning of the online coaching era.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
powerlifting just slowly on the uprise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the trend tracking with powerlifting is a big story too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I also think we were able to differentiate ourselves by taking a more professional approach. You know,
Yeah.
we didn't just present ourselves as Hayden and
DM.
Steffi programming at gmail.com or like DM us for whatever.
Because it all starts with building a brand, right? Building
Yeah.
a brand and having a story and just building that reputation, the reputation of being professional and all that good stuff.
And choosing a brand name that represented what we wanted to do. That's why it was hybrid. It was the combination of all the different sort of sports and athletics and ideas that we had. So instead of having to say, oh, we're Steffi and Hayden and this is our concept, people just know hybrid and automatically knew kind of what we were talking about. So it was definitely helpful in that regard too.
Yeah. You know what? Because you owned a business prior to that, so it was super helpful when we first started hybrid to have you, because of all the experience that you had and all the things that you had learned along the way. Like one of the things that I feel like helped the most was how much emphasis we had on networking and traveling and meeting people who were influential in the industry, and just showing our face and kind of like letting them endorse us and our products, I think was a huge help, especially in the initial stages.
Yeah, I think everybody says that networking is everything, but then what does that even mean? You know, where do you start? For us, that was just literally making it impossible for people to not notice us. So we forced ourselves upon the fitness community. We flew wherever we had to fly to get in front of people that we, wanted to align ourselves with. And, we ended up on all these different people's channels and podcasts and YouTube and all that good stuff. And that was a huge catalyst to growth.
What went into the decision as to who you wanted to align yourselves with or position yourselves alongside or learn from? Or
people whose businesses or ideas that we agreed with.
And
people
are respectable, because I mean, anyone
Yeah.
can try to network or get out there, but you have to have a certain level of professionalism and
Right.
accolades, achievements.
Right, and sometimes you have to filter like who you associate with, because that person could also reflect poorly on you.
Yeah,
right, even if they have a
absolutely.
big following.
Yeah, you have to be careful who you associate yourself with,
Yeah.
because you don't want, if it's someone who's done something bad, then that obviously will reflect poorly on you as well, because essentially you'll be endorsing them, they will be endorsing you, but it's not necessarily for the better.
Yeah, I think those decisions early on make a huge impact. People don't understand that, and they associate themselves with brands that don't have a lot of efficacy or
They just don't share your values, right?
exactly, and you're sort of diluting your brand and the power that you have in your endorsements. So, yeah, that's definitely a huge thing.
So, drawing on your experience before, is there anything you guys avoided, like year one, the first 365 days of business? Is there anything you learned from WAG or anything in the past that you were able to avoid when you started hybrid?
Just organization and systems for the most part. I think the thing that we struggled the most with at my other business was the growth of it was so fast, and I had never run a business before. So it was like if someone quit the program, it was like, how do we kick these people out of the Facebook group? Or how do we, just little simple things that we were able to build into the software with the new program. So
I think that I think we did great. Like we had a lot of systems in place to take care of our customers, of our clients, but we didn't have systems in place to deal with employees, which is something that we're dealing with now, which totally was neglected, right? Mainly because we've employed a lot of our good friends, kind of like on a handshake agreement. But I think that's also a super important portion. Like anytime that you bring anyone in to work with you, I think it should all be through a formal agreement. There should be written rules, code of conducts, expectations, contract termination terms, all of those things. Even I think it's like a difficult thing to talk about with anyone, but especially with your friends, just because you don't want to think of worst case scenarios, but I think it's necessary as well.
Yeah, that's why you have to have good lawyers and good people advising you, because there's no situation doing business with your friends or family, and I've seen this my whole life with the businesses my family's involved in, where you don't need that agreement in place. Because I had an attorney once tell me, it was just like this light bulb moment in my head. It's not about things going good right now, but it's about the moment where things are not going good and you guys are at each other's throats, and there's no formalized agreement in place to outline the rules, regulations, bylaws, everything that run a business. And
I think that it's so easy for that to happen in the fitness industry too, because most people start their careers in the fitness industry as passion projects. It's like, oh, let's try out this thing and see if we can make a couple bucks, and then it grows into this much larger thing, and then they don't have systems in place, and that's obviously an issue, like you said.
it's like, how do you tame the beast once the beast is out?
Yeah, and I think you guys are or this business in general is that additional level. It's like not only is it no longer a passion project, it's grown beyond just comfortably supporting, everyone and their friends, and now it's like we have the opportunity to build an organization that has sustained value and embedded growth, right? And so even those kind of systems that scale will last beyond the employment lifetime of the friend who works there, because they might grow and move somewhere else. Well, like when you replace them with another employee, right? Those types of systems need to be in place to keep the organization growing at the pace that it can grow and kind of achieve its potential size, which is much bigger than most businesses in fitness, which are usually just whatever one person's coaching clients.
From an outside point of view, and I only say outside because you're the newest one in the team.
Yeah.
What do you think? And I mean, if you don't come up with anything, the questions for everyone here. What do you think separates us from other competitors in the industry?
I think a clear selling proposition, right? It's clear what the brand is. It's clear who the market is. It's clear what the product is. And there's multiple related products, but it makes sense for the fitness consumer, of which there are a lot, and this business is capable of reaching those people very efficiently, and developing those kind of this relationship through what mostly is through Instagram, but is through other mediums now like YouTube, and we're getting into other kind of avenues of communication, but it makes it seem the brand is easily connects with people, and then there's something very clearly that's kind of valuable to them. And right, there's many more people in training than nutrition just because of the price differential, but there's a lot of people in nutrition as well.
And nutrition's much newer.
Yeah, yeah. So, but my point is there is something for multiple price points, and I do think we over deliver on that on that kind of initial value proposition for what is that exchange of value.
That's something that you've been huge on. Always over delivering, making sure to be constantly finding ways to provide more and more value to the people who support you, instead of charging a minimum price, but which is like they would expect the minimum in return. But then it's a surprise that they get access to all the things that the software is capable of doing, the community aspect, the customer service, which we put a lot of attention towards, and time.
Yeah.
Free education.
I think you guys have seen it. Is like people come in here from other parts of the world, and they already feel like they have a relationship with you, right?
Yeah,
and they feel like they have a relationship with the brand in general, right? So the buying decision becomes very easy, even if it's just a T-shirt, right? And they feel connected to the brand via the T-shirt, and they feel connected, in the group and through their engagement in the content, even just being whatever we would do with a little bit of education, they get some sort of kind of enduring value out of it. And not a lot of businesses can continue to deliver that value, starting at free and kind of working their way up to higher, pricing structures, right?
Let's talk about also the opposite end of the spectrum. People. I think that one of the biggest issues in the fitness industry is people being disingenuous. Because look, selling something on the basis of truth, facts, and evidence is hard because it's not sexy. So I think we see it a lot in the fitness industry where people just look for the kind of like the easy way to sell something at the expense of, people not being educated on the topic and just kind of like jumping to whatever they're offering.
Yeah. Well, I think that goes to a more fundamental problem of people not valuing their own credibility, right? And there's multiple components to that. It's like you got to wear it to share it, so you got to like live the life, and that's generally not a problem in fitness, but it's also about this honest kind of discussion of what you know versus what you don't know, right? And just they're looking for the next thing they learned yesterday to sell it today, right? Which is a huge problem in the industry, right? And then you end up taking these shortcuts, which are very clear after that initial transaction to the consumer that you've made that shortcut, right? When they get that individualized program that's clearly just a template, they're like, I'm not paying that guy $40 again, right? Because there's no way you can offer an individualized program at $40, but the customer doesn't know that. They're competing on price, and they get a product that they're underwhelmed with, and they never engage with that person again. But the person is like, fine, I have 1 million followers, I can just take some money from the next person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just a race to the bottom at that point.
Yeah. And then everyone's competing on prices, commoditized, and now the industry suffers, right? Because there's lower consumer value in the industry.
Yeah. Bottom line, create a relationship with your customers, or at least make an effort to for them to feel noticed. If you're operating at a larger scale, find time to network with other people in the industry that you have similar values and interests with. What else? Always over deliver.
I think people need to understand their roles as well. That's a huge one, you know. Like if your passion is powerlifting, but you're a 250-pound dude who squats 300 pounds, you're not going to be the face of a company. Even if you're a pretty strong dude, there's so many of them out there. It's like you need to understand, you know, that's why my role is not being the face or the person who's out there in the spotlight. That's you know. So I think that's hard for a lot of people to wrap their ego around that and play to their strengths, and they want to kind of force things that aren't there. So I think that's a big thing too.
Are you saying you're 250 pounds and only squat 300 pounds?
I mean, I'm a little stronger.
You're a
than
little
that.
stronger than that, dude.
Yeah, I'm a little
Give yourself some
Give
credit,
it.
man. Give yourself some credit.
Google me.
700 pounds.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Anyway, you started briefly alluding to what our future plans were gonna be. I had that planned for the last kind of portion of this topic. So we're just working on developing more events, creating some sort of education curriculum, getting into the supplements industry,
Yeah.
opening a second gym.
Second gym, expanding the apparel business.
Expanding the apparel business.
Right now, we're running it out of Hybrid HQ here.
Yeah.
But it's grown. It's
Teaching
grown too much.
seminars.
So,
Teaching seminars.
Yeah, seminars, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, very excited to continue to grow hybrid and for the opportunity to I've been able to merge my interests with and turn it into a career essentially. So anyway, time for part 3 of this podcast, which is lifting gossip with Hybrid Unlimited. What do we have for this week?
I think this week we ought to talk about slingshot record breakers. That's there's been a lot of controversy about judging standards, lifts that were passed, things like that. So I think it's a good topic to talk on. I also think it's important that we present our biases. Mm-hmm. We are friends with Mark Bell and the people who run Slingshot, who are the main sponsor of the event. We're also good friends with Jesse, who threw the event. Mm-hmm. So keep that in mind. We're not going to jump down their throats on anything, but we're still going to be honest about our opinions about the event itself. So.
By the way, stellar performance by Kaylor Woolham that weekend.
Damn. So, well, let's talk about that.
That was
off the bat.
controversial,
That
huh?
was controversial. Highest total ever in sleeves at what do you compete at, 220?
220. Only weighing in like
And
215.
What was his total?
2150-ish,
something like that.
Wow.
And then heaviest deadlift ever at 220 as well.
It's like a 953 deadlift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was just,
So-
but that was only a chip on his original record. He held the record
it?
and he just chipped it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
It was that
it was-
high?
it was-
I thought it was 930 something before.
No.
Beltless,
He chipped
too.
It was it was a second
yeah.
attempt, and he
Yeah.
had intended to go like 970, 980.
What did?
But he
Are
wasn't
we more
happy with that
impressed with
second.
things when they're done beltless? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
It's like I feel like if you choose
Well,
to compete beltless,
so really-
it's probably because that's to your advantage. No one's
Right.
doing that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's not helping them.
So he's really competing with Yuri at this point for like the heaviest, not only sumo deadlift of all time, but the heaviest beltless sumo deadlift of all time. To get really
you know
technical.
what? It's beltless sumo deadlift.
I mean, well, so Yuri Belkin deadlifted was 970 pounds, so it was
Yeah, but all those
440
funky
kilos.
Russian plates.
Beltless, kind of a controversial lift, but very clean.
True.
So what's controversial about Kaylor?
Kaylor, so people were saying there was contention in what the actual rule means. So Kaylor successfully deadlifted the bar, held
yeah,
on,
yeah,
locked
yeah.
it out properly, all that, everything that you're supposed to do in a deadlift. But when he went to pull the bar off the ground, he pulled up, and then his body went back down before he pulled up again. And the language in different federations changes, but basically people, if there's downward motion in a lift, it's supposed to be a no lift. But people were saying, did the lift technically start because the bar, all of the weights hadn't left the ground yet? And I actually saw Kaler made a review on his Instagram about the lift that I thought was really interesting. And what he said was when those rules were made, that deadlift bars didn't exist. So it was literally impossible for a bar to have that kind of whip that you would yank on it and it would move like that before the bar would leave the ground. So there's kind of like two different parts here. One, should it be a legal lift, period, based on the existing rules? And two, should those rules be amended because the equipment has changed?
So, if we're talking SPF rule book versus, like, for example, USPA, right? Because a lot of people are going back to the USPA rule book being one of the biggest, federations and using a deadlift bar.
And the most legit in most people's eyes.
USPA updates their rule book yearly. They have meetings after every nationals and they update rule books. So I'm on the I haven't filled you guys in on this. I'm on the USPA judges page and there was a thread of like 150 comments of all the judges talking about it.
About Kaler's lift.
Kaler's specific lift, including like the higher ups in the national office. And it was literally a split of 50-50. Half of even the higher ups saying it shouldn't have counted, and some of the higher ups saying it's completely a fine lift. So it's like there's different ways to interpret the rules, like as far as like a bona fide attempt, right? So let's say someone goes up to a bar and they go to deadlift it, and they're getting the slack out of the bar, and their eyes are rolling in the back of their head. It doesn't break the floor, but they're not fucking strong enough to lift it.
Right, that's an attempt.
Right? It's an attempt. The plates didn't leave the floor. Should they still have the rest of their clock to then stand up, sniff some more ammonia, and go attempt it again? No, it was a bona fide attempt. That was clearly him not just, kind of pulling the slack out of the bar.
Yeah, so it's intention.
Question,
Did he intend to
what's
pull?
What's the
or was
downside to giving people a full minute? Who cares? Like, why can't someone do that? Knock yourself out. Try to pull it off the ground 10 times in your 1 minute.
Yeah, right.
Like, why don't you just make that the rule?
I mean, there's a side that I've seen his deadlifts in person and on the internet. He's got a very aggressive start, right?
Yeah,
so
I've seen that.
I can understand him catching a little bit of whip off the ground, but I'm gonna offer a very non-rule book opinion here, just based on seeing how impressive that dude is lifting. Is that he deadlifted 953 pounds, and we can question that micro movement at the beginning. He pulled it, he locked it out. I thought the lift was clean as soon as that part was done. So, yeah, you can debate that all day long, but the lift itself, to me, was so impressive.
I would have given it white lights.
I'm with you on that too.
Here's my problem with that. So now here we could talk from a federation standpoint, is that when you're judging, which I've judged countless meets, you have to make a split moment decision. You don't have time to rewind, watch, think about it. And
yeah, it's not the NFL.
When you're taught to be a judge in like the federations that I have trained to be a judge in, if you're uncertain, you vote in the lifter's favor. Okay, that's a written rule. If you're not sure which way to go, you don't want to be an asshole, just give a red if you're uncertain about it.
That's cool.
Now, my beef with this meet, Record Breakers, versus a meet like, for example, the U.S. Open 2 or 3 years ago, is that different federations have different standards. SPF, you don't have to have any kind of formal training or even read one page of the fucking rule book to be a judge for that federation.
What's their... Do they have a definitive definition in the rule book that says what squat depth is? What's the standard for that?
Yeah, it's
all federations do have that standard, and it's hip crease below the top of the knee. Right? But here's the thing. If you don't have a trained eye, how the hell do you know what that looks like?
So,
you don't have to study a rule book like when I was a judge for USPA. You have to read a very extensive rule book, answer a 100-page question, and perform X amount of practical hours next to a higher ranking judge before you get your own polo. You have to go through a process to understand what to look for. Some of these federations, like the whatever Record Breakers is, there is no process for that. Your dog can go be a judge if you wanted to. There's no kind of standard or credential, which I think is an issue. Now, granted, what is the standard of training? Like what determines if you're ready, this, that, and the other. Maybe there isn't, but I feel like there should be some kind of internship, some kind of mentorship where you learn and you go through this process instead of just literally
Especially
going
if
blinded
there's world
into a
records at
chair
stake.
and
Absolutely.
holding up a red or a white.
Yeah.
That's my beef with that. Not even that meet, but just that specific federation.
You shouldn't
know?
be able to just pull someone out of the crowd
Nope,
and they're all of
you
a sudden
should
they're a
not.
judge.
Whether they're famous or not, because if there's world records in contention, if there's a question of legitimacy amongst X, Y, and Z, then maybe the guy that did hit a clean lift is going to be overshadowed by that big question mark hanging over the whole event, because they're going to say, "Oh, the judging standards there were trash."
But
And it
some of
kind-
them, I think, like some of those are obvious. Like the squat debate, that's a squat by definition. You have to hit below parallel and come back up. That's what a squat is. Whereas, like with the whole deadlift, even the downward motion rule in general, are we just being weenies who care way too much about what the definition of the rule is? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
If the bar goes down, I don't even care if a guy pulls the deadlift up and then it goes down below his knee again. And he pulls it up again. Why is that not a lift?
Right,
You know,
you
like
still
who even
lifted it.
cares?
Right.
I mean, I've done that before with very heavy weights,
I'll
and
tell
it's
you-
tough.
I'll tell you one thing that's difficult as far as like being a judge is, people do freaking crucify judges who give a white light when a squat is high that you see in the video. But when you're actually in that chair trying to watch a squat above 600 pounds, most federations, once a squat is above 600 pounds, they require 2 side spotters on each side. So you have fucking 4 arms like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you're trying to see through, and you're trying to see his hip crease and his knee. And it's very difficult a lot of the time, and that's where, again, the voting in the lifter's favor. If there was a complete obstruction when I was trained, they're like, if you did not see his hip crease at all, you have to give a white.
Yeah, but I mean,
like-
there's other federations, there's other events, like Boss of Bosses is run impeccably every year, right? And their judging standards there are strict. They're also fair. And it's an event where you walk away from it, and if somebody hits a world record,
It's legit. But you know
You don't
what?
question it, really.
WRPF, which is what Boss of Bosses has been sanctioned under for the last little while, does actually require you to pass an albeit easy test, but it's a test to prove that you have the qualification to judge a squat, bench,
so
and
then
deadlift.
doesn't it come
That
down
you
to the
understand- you
individual,
understand the
like
rule book.
organizer of an event?
Yeah.
Like, I think Dan Green holds his event to such a high standard that he doesn't allow bullshit calls to happen.
But that's the problem, right? Is sure the people who are holding the lifts to the highest standard. It doesn't matter if we run an SPF meet or a WRPF meet or a USAPL meet. We're going to have the same standards at every meet.
Yeah.
But you can get somebody, from wherever, bumfuck nowhere, throws their own meet because they want to break a world record. They squat 4 inches high.
Oh,
and,
we've seen it.
it
There's big
happens.
controversy.
I think it
online about
100% comes down to literally what you said. It's the meet director, the person holding the event, upholding a standard. Everything down to, like I said, the obstruction from having spotters, teaching your spotters the correct way to spot so their arms aren't in the way. And even look, USAPL, after this year's nationals, how many people were freaking crying because all kinds of squats are called. It was crazy. So many people almost bombed out. That's USAPL, right? One of my lifters just competed in USAPL last weekend, and Brandon, who was handling him, was sending me videos in real time, and I'm like, wait, what? They didn't call his squat? That should have been Reds. And in USAPL, the standard that's supposed to be the gold standard. But again, it's not nationals. It was a different local level meet held by a different meet director, and maybe his judges and his standards aren't as high as others. So it's something it's impossible. It's never going to have a clear line, But obviously, if something's not well above the line, then it's going to be controversial.
Yeah, but stuff that's that obvious, like, it puts up a red flag in everybody's mind. Because listen, I'll be honest. I did that meet. What was it, 2 years ago? We went
Record
out
breakers? Yeah.
there. I don't think any
You
of my
should've bombed
squats.
out. I told you. And then you
should've-
almost bombed out in a meet a couple months later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I should.
Yeah.
None of those squats should have been called. And it honestly took me years to figure out how to squat in wraps properly. But once you do it, you figure out how to do it. You do it properly, and then you're not questioned after that.
I think the real problem comes when we're talking about world records being broken. Because you want to go get first place at the Bikini Bottom Open in the SpongeBob SquarePants division.
No one cares.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Squat 5 inches high, whatever. But when you're talking about world records, I think what IPF has done that is actually really good, that other federations that want to be treated as
break a
legitimate
world record unless
should
it's-
do. Yeah. You need to do it in a particular meet that requires a
Yeah.
particular level of judging.
USPA
So-
does that also for their own federation's world records.
Sure.
But it's like, how
But-
can we make that for all times?
Yeah.
But it should be. It 100%
It
should
should.
be.
I agree.
And then the other issue with what you were saying, and I think the only way that we're going to avoid things like squat depth issues or, any sort of like fringe downward motion sort of stuff is taking the approach that Olympic weightlifting has, where they have the panel.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you need instant replay and you need a panel. And
Well, IPF does have that.
they have the panel. Oh yeah, you're
You
right.
have to, but here's the fucked up thing: you have to pay.
Come on.
If you want to say that your call was bad or whatever it is to have them review, I don't know the exact amount. You have to pay something like 50 euros or something like that
Yep.
to have your call reviewed.
Do you get it
right
back
there,
if you
so
get,
Right there on the spot.
if they overturn
And you only
it? Do you
have
get it
give
back?
them cash?
I don't know if you get it back if you overturn it. I don't know if
should.
you get it back or
That's
not
for
if they
IPF?
overturn it. This is for IPF.
At USAW, I
ridiculous.
think you get a certain number. Is it
IPF,
2?
you also get a certain number. I think it's
I'm
like
not
2
sure.
or 3.
I'm not sure.
But you have to pay.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Wow,
crazy.
that's
That's
crazy.
wild. I've never heard
Or
of
someone
that.
needs to invent some sort of implement that you put on your hip and on the top of your knee, and like it goes like a red light or a white light if the sensors go past each other.
So you'll get some
That's
Kaplan
easy to
type
do.
character who will hack
Yeah,
it.
it is, right?
That's super easy to do.
There you
that
go,
technology
Ian.
exists.
$1 million idea.
It's a niche market.
No idea in the powerlifting world.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no such thing. I guess there are such things.
Are there other controversies from that meet?
Dude,
that we
everything
should touch
down to
on?
honestly, I wish that I went and did bench only at that meet because I could have done touch and go and bench 800 pounds.
Yeah, they
It's
calls for
but,
the
but then
bench,
also,
maybe.
what is we talked about this also? What is the standard? Like
Right.
technically, if the bar goes down and back up, it did stop at some point, right? How
Right.
long does it need
Can't
to
change
stop? Does it
direction
need to be
without
a
stopping.
1-2? Because then the judge should have to hold a timer right there. 1 up. You know
Because
what I mean?
how,
Like,
how can you argue that rule when the rule is that it just has to come to a complete stop?
right.
It always comes to a complete
It has
stop,
to.
you're right.
You can't change direction.
But it's up
without
to the
stopping.
person telling you to stop it,
It's
true.
and then
It's-
you have to start again.
Right.
Sure. Well, but they don't tell you to stop. They just say press. So it's totally the discretion of the
Stop!
judge.
All right, now you go.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Like they tell you when to start again.
Yeah. So it's,
Speaking
it is.
of Julius Maddox today, well, we talk about Boston Bosses. I thought that was a controversial lift for
was.
everybody.
Yeah,
in
the right hand.
But
Yeah.
he's probably right now competing, trying to attempt either 750 or 771 pound bench press.
350 kilos, bro.
That's too
nuts.
much.
Yeah, it's a little
That
too
lift
many
was pretty
pounds.
controversial, Boss of Bosses.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what was it that he didn't lock? The argument was that he didn't fully lock it out. But
No,
then,
and that he
but
they
then
gave
his
him the
arg-
rack command, but then he gave out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After
After
they
the
gave
rack
him the
command.
rack command, his right arm gave out.
Yeah.
And then the judges, or the spotters,
Had
like,
to take it.
mishandled
If
getting
you
it
do,
back
the
to
internet is so
rackers.
brutal because then one of the spotters got freaking crucified because when he did it, he starts jumping up and down. He's like, "Yeah!" And it looked like he like completely like belly bumped
Oh,
the bar.
fuck.
Yeah,
No,
so
I
everyone,
didn't hear
that's
about
why
that.
that's why people think that because the side,
I
the
didn't see
spotter was
that.
here, he
started
jumped,
cheering.
and then the bar starts going this way.
Oh,
Whoa.
So
Let's
it's
watch
also
a replay.
controversial that
Let's watch a
the
replay.
spotter might have
Post
hit
it
it
there on the video.
and also the spotter was jumping up and down and didn't help him guide it into the rack when he got the rack command.
those guys have to stay super professional
Yeah.
then, because when you put that much weight above his head, it could kill him.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I'm excited. I want to see if he does it today. That'll be an epic feat.
I think this is a good gossip section. We can move on.
Yeah, it was really good.
Damn, there's a lot. There's a lot. But all right,
Yeah.
we have more podcasts, more gossip.
One quick note
get to
about
it.
that sensor idea is like, does powerlifting even want that? Because you'd have that in baseball, right? And nobody wants to give the umpire the ball or strike call, right? Everybody knows whether it's a ball or strike, except the umpire still can make the errors of whether it's a ball or strike.
Why are there still umpires?
because baseball doesn't want to change how umpires call balls and strikes by giving
The
them.
umpire strikes back is what I always say.
They're like it's part of the error is part of the game. There's a slight advantage to being the home team. Blah, 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 I don't know.
Tradition.
Yeah, tradition, right?
Yeah, what does the
Everyone's
umpire
baseball.
do?
If you know it's a ball or a strike, everyone's baseball somehow.
He
But
tells you you're out of here if you
but
get
if you
to
know-
Does
50.
anybody know what they do? Do they do anything?
what do you mean the umpires call balls and strikes? The one behind home plate
Why
does.
do you need somebody to do that?
What?
Honestly,
Why do you need somebody to do
Because
that?
they were there before you had the
That's
ball tracking
ridiculous.
technology. But the idea is if you put that in powerlifting, do people actually want to judge to
So-
call?
Dude, I'm getting bored
content?
talking about baseball. Can we move on?
Yeah, we don't follow baseball here. We're gonna get for our next podcast. We're gonna get an alarm. It's called a
If
shut up
someone-
alarm.
If someone starts talking for too long,
That's
Ian
just
1,
you.
Ian 2.
Bro,
We're just gonna go.
behave.
Moving on.
No, you're the shut up alarm.
No, you
saying.
are the shut up alarm. You
I
just
say
tell
shut
people
up.
to shut up.
No, I want anyone to be able to have that power.
Yeah, 'cause
you
you
know?
and I, we don't care. We're gonna be able to. What if it was like a secret in your hand? You know, like
Oh,
nobody
I
knows.
like that. So no one knows who pressed
Someone
it.
might be shy. Hayden's too nice to tell
Yeah.
someone to shut up. But if no one knows that Hayden's saying "shut the hell up," you'll tell them to shut the
Yeah,
hell
I
up.
We
like
just have
that.
buttons in our hair.
Yeah,
Yeah. I like that. All right, so then the other thing we're gonna do at the end of the podcast, we'll discuss one Florida man story. So I looked
Because
one up.
we're in Florida.
Because we're in Florida, yeah. For you guys, you have one. Actually,
Yeah.
that's Caesar's job, yeah.
Yeah.
You find
and
a good
crazy
one?
shit happens in Florida all the time. So we'll
This
have a new
Caesar's
story every-
only job. People think that Caesar does videos. No, he just only responsibility
Florida
is looking
man
for Florida man
research.
story. That's it.
It's a sweet gig.
Huh?
So, Florida man steals a golf cart and leads cops on a chase.
Yes.
Yo, what are the?
Yeah,
what are
we need to repeat the
cops on
story.
Florida
bikes?
man, what?
It was in the express lane on 95. Some woman who was
Can you repeat that?
Yeah.
crazy.
So, Florida man steals golf cart, leads cops on chase, and retains Florida man certificate for another year.
Wait, wasn't it a woman?
We need to repeat
was
the
a
story
man?
so people can hear it.
Yo, what kind of golf cart was this?
Florida
Oh,
man
wait, hold on.
steals
Caesar's
a
not
golf.
mic'd up. Caesar's
No.
not mic'd
That's
up.
what I'm saying.
Here, Caesar. Talk.
So, Andrew Thomas Burrett, a 42-year-old resident, turned to crime earlier this week, battering an innocent golf cart driver before carjacking his car and leading the
Wow.
police on a low-speed chase along US 1.
A low
And
speed.
here's your mugshot.
Someone named Sugar Booty texted him
Wait.
while he was reading that story.
Yeah.
Wait, so keyword low speed chase.
I
not
thought
high
this was
speed
on
chase.
95 because I saw it. There's an Instagram page called Only in Dade, and somebody was in a golf cart in the express lane going north on 95 like a week ago. She got Baker
Wow.
acted.
Maybe it's a second golf cart
So you're
story.
telling me there's 2 golf cart bandits down here?
Oh, I'm sure, dude. This is like old folks county. I'm sure there's 100 a day.
My
How
God.
about this?
Boca, where you're
Boca,
from?
yeah, so
Oh
many.
yeah, Boca, where you're
How
from.
about
Yeah,
this one?
so many
Florida
golf
man
courses.
arrested after hitting dad with pizza because he was mad he helped birth him.
He was mad about his own birth?
Interesting.
How does the dad help
What
in
a
the
nice-
He
birthing
was arrested
process?
for domestic battery after admitting he hit his dad in the face with a slice of pizza.
One slice?
Because he was mad his dad helped birth him.
That's not bad.
Yo, I
33.
went to juvie when I was 16. Shit, when I was 12, because I smashed a moon pie in a kid's face and I got assault charges.
No way.
Damn.
That's
Worth it.
crazy.
Fucking food, dude. You know.
What's a moon pie?
Food. I think
They were like,
it's-
you don't remember
What is
moon
a moon
pies,
pie?
man?
Maybe we didn't have
Chocolate
those in
on the
Canada.
outside, marshmallow on the inside.
Oh, yeah.
I smeared it all over. This kid's face was
Smeared it?
sticky freaking. Oh man,
Alex, so you probably were in the Florida Man cover at some point. Let's see if we can find it.
How do
you
we
got
just
charged.
breeze over the Only in Dade topic without talking about how Ian has been featured on that page?
Oh yeah.
Insane antics.
You forgot to put that as part of your bio in the intro, dude.
Oh yeah, I'm
You're famous.
Famous in Dade for walking down the road dragging a sled. A lot of people stopped that day.
Which, let me point out, is hilarious that you got featured and you've done it once, and that other crazy dude we know. Remember, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I know.
He does it
All the
every
time.
day.
Frequently?
Yeah, but
Because
he-
that
but
guy
he's just a big
looks
fat
like
guy.
he's
Yeah.
like a homeless dude carrying his freaking cart. He looks like freaking a superhero saving the day.
That's the biggest compliment Alex has ever given you.
Yeah,
Give him a
Take
hug.
it.
You're
Take it.
welcome.
Yeah, give him a hug.
The
Dude,
comments
Caesar,
on
we're
that
hugging.
on that post were hilarious because it's Ian just looking like a fucking mutant bushel of grapes, pulling this sled,
And a guy
sweating
in a car,
profusely,
Guy in a car slowly following behind me.
and then when you turn around,
He's
he
like, oh,
goes,
shit.
How did you not
brings his
notice that?
camera down.
I think I
Make
did
sure you
notice
insert that video here.
Yeah, please. Only indeed. Oh my god, that page is hilarious.
I mean-
You should have seen that.
In their defense, I was walking in the middle of the road, but in my defense, the road is kind of slanted, so if you drag on one side versus the middle, it kind of slides into the gutter. It kind of messes up your drag. You know,
You
the
have
momentum.
turf in the gym.
Yeah, but you got to turn around too many times.
nah,
you know?
Ian you were sunbathing.
It's good for vitamin D levels.
That's what I thought. Anyway, that was it for today's podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're really excited about having these podcast series come together. And I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any suggestions of how we can improve, how we can make this better for you guys as listeners, please drop it down below in the comments. And keep in touch with us. We're at Hybrid Performance Method. Check us out. And catch you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, world.